Another game and another loss. What is going wrong with the Buffalo Sabres? We'll explore coming up on Locked On Sabres.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, and thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on our YouTube channel, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A couple of things to get to on today's show, including trying to figure out what is happening, what is going wrong with this Sabres team, why have they lost 3 of their first 4, including Thursday night's affair against the Calgary Flames, 4-3 in favor of the Flames. Going through it, the goaltending situation, guys that I don't think have showed up, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's to come on Saturday against the Islanders, which is a pretty big game given that they can't continue to dig themselves in a big hole to start the year. So that's coming up. If you missed our last episode, check it out. We talked about Levi's workload and the fact of what it means that he got the start against Calgary, because I still think that is pertinent even after the result. Worth noting, Levi is day-to-day. I saw him at one point holding his knee, the back of his leg, even in a weird way. Sounds like he's okay, but day-to-day wasn't on the practice ice on Friday. Might have just been another reason to give him some rest. We'll talk more about him and his struggle on Thursday coming up in the second segment of today's show. But let's start off trying to figure out what's happening. Why are the Sabres 1-3? Why did they lose to a average team at home that's in the middle of a long road trip with their backup goaltender? I told you yesterday why I thought the Sabres deserved to be favored in this game. And it wasn't all about them. A lot of it was about Calgary. I don't think the Flames are a great team. Nobody really does. No one thinks they're terrible. They're middle of the road. And they had their backup goalie in, Daniel Vladar. And he's not good. You saw that throughout this game. He let in 2 goals at least that shouldn't have gone in. I'll give Peterka a lot of credit on the third shot, on the third goal of the game. But Eric Johnson, soft wrist shot from the wall. It was perfectly placed. It was barred down. That's a save that every goalie makes 99 times out of 100. So that's one goal he gave you. And the Thompson goal, even that one, I want to not take all credit away from Tage because he got a lot on that shot. It's a nice play from Cousins, cross ice, and he's able to finish. But he doesn't roof it. He doesn't put it bar in. It's the middle of the net. Vladar is falling when the puck goes into the net. So the Flames goaltender gave the Sabres opportunities. And there have been other games where they've been stifled by defense. So something different seems to go wrong in each of these 3 losses that they've had so far through 4 games. So what is it? And to me, what I look at is some of the advanced numbers, and what my eyes are telling me is the top players on this Sabres team are not getting the job done through 4 games. And I don't want to include everybody in that. I do think Rasmus Dahlin is incapable at this point of having an off game. Like, maybe there might be a couple mistakes he makes. He still takes penalties at a pretty amazing rate, but he always has these little plays at the blue line to gain possession, to increase the odds of a scoring chance, to set somebody up himself, get a shot for himself. Dahlin is impressive night to night. Almost every other important player has had at least 2 bad games, I think, through 4. And the numbers tell you that. So far, only 4 Sabres are in the positive above 50% expected goals for percentage. Tyson Jost, who's only played 2 of the games, Tage Thompson, Owen Power, and Zach Benson. That's it. Now, a little unfair to Henry Jokiharju. He's at 49.99% expected goals for percentage. So Jokiharju is right there too. But everybody else pales in comparison. Way below. I mentioned Cousins going into the last game was their worst player in expected goals for. He rose up a little bit. He had a solid night against Calgary. Eric Johnson now is actually dead last on the team. Olofsson, Okposo, Samuelson is down there. So a lot of Sabres are struggling. I do think, again, it's not even the team defense. You heard Eric Johnson after the game and Alex Tuch after the game both mention the need for team defense, saying that if you don't play quality team defense in this league, you're not going to win. You're not going to take a step as a club. Well, guess what? I don't think the Sabres have been that bad defensively. I think they've been fine. They've been limiting chances. Now, they're limiting chances in their own end. They've not been perfect. What they are doing way too much of is giving up breakaways and 2-on-1s. They're giving up a ton of odd man rushes. And what was it? 3 breakaways against Devon Levi that he stopped all 3 of. So they're leaving their goalie out to dry a little bit, even though, again, Levi's made those saves. I think defensively, though, they've been fine. Other than the odd man rushes, in their own end, they're doing good. The penalty kills come back to earth a little bit. I think the bigger problem is more troublesome. They're not scoring. That's it. 7 goals at 5-on-5 in 4 games. 9 total. That is not the Buffalo Sabres that we grew to love and grew to know last season. A team that was capable of putting up 6-7 a night. Hasn't done that. Hasn't had a game like that yet. And it's because I think their top players, and in particular their top line, doesn't look right. The Thompson, Tuch, Skinner line has been my biggest issue. I don't think they look in sync at all. So many passes behind guys in the feet, guys having to stop, get the puck, chip it in. And by that point, everybody is standing still, and those guys are not able to get in and retain it, and the puck goes back the other way. Thompson has had his struggles. He had a turnover and the first period against Calgary that led to the second Calgary goal directly. Couldn't get it out of his own end. Calgary ends up scoring. Skinner can't stop turning the puck over. I mean, the pass he made, I think it was on the power play, trying to backhand it across the blue line all the way when there's a Calgary player right there. Breakaway by Michael Backlund back the other way. It was a nice poke check by Devon Levi. Tuch has been invisible. Alex Tuch has been invisible. 1 assist in 4 games is all that he has done. And I predicted some regression for Tuch, but not this. And I don't believe that this will be as bad as it is all year. But that line has got to perform better. They have been on the ice for almost 50 minutes at 5-on-5 so far this season, and they have 1 goal to show for it. Skinner at 5-on-5. Thompson's goal came on the power play. So that line needs to play better. Cousins finally played better, I thought, against Calgary after really struggling in the first 3. And they need a whole team effort because even the line that was carrying them through the first couple games was the Middlestad, Greenway, and Benson line, and they were horrible against the Flames. They were the Sabres' worst line against Calgary. Benson and Greenway got benched at the end of that game. The last couple of shifts, it looked like Middlestat went out with Zemgus Girgensons and Kyle Okposo. So that line and all 3, like those top 3 lines especially, gotta have a night where they're all clicking together. All this just to me is going to the point of if you're the Sabres, don't dig yourself a hole that you can't overcome in the standings. Don't let this slide to start the year, this deflating start to the year, go too far because they already have some work to do to make up for it. Even though it's only 4 games, I understand. They're 1-3, 2 points. It's dead last in the Eastern Conference. More importantly, that is 4 points behind Ottawa. Ottawa, a team that we knew they would be directly competing with this year, that has matched them almost neck and neck in the standings the last 2 years, that also has a really good young core. They've made a couple of additional veteran acquisitions like Claude Giroux, Jacob Chikrin, Jonas Corpusalo, and others, and they're looking like they're taking a step so far. They are 3-1 on the season, 6 points on the year, and they have the best goal differential in the East at +9 in those 3 wins. So Ottawa looks good to start the year. Detroit, who I'm always fading, they look good to start the year. They're 3-1. The Sabres have found themselves 4 points back already of Ottawa and Detroit. 2 points back of Florida, 3 points back of Tampa Bay already. Now, they have a couple of games here. They have Islanders on Saturday. They have the Canadiens on Monday, and then a back-to-back where they play at Ottawa on Tuesday. They need to have, what, 3 of the next 4? Go get 3 of the next 4 and beat Ottawa head-to-head. Don't let them run away from you. By Tuesday night, you don't want to be looking up and seeing Ottawa 8 points up in the standings, because that really could happen. They could do it that quick. And listen, I'm not saying that this team won't bounce back from this stretch. I believe they will. But you're going to be 9 points better than Ottawa the rest of the way. That's the type of hole you just don't want to dig yourself in, because you could bounce back and be good the rest of the season, but catching teams that when you find yourself that far back that early is very hard to do. So don't dig yourself a hole you can't overcome. And you got a couple of games here against an Islanders team that is not that scary, and against a Canadiens team that is supposed to be bad. And these are big games that they've got to win so that they don't let the season get away from them early. Time out here. I didn't get to this because I wanted to do a whole segment on it. Levi. Devon Levi, his struggles, and what the picture looks like in goal after the first 4 games of the year. That's coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Bird Dogs. I love Bird Dogs. I've got the golf joggers. I've got the shorts. They are super breathable, super easy to wear. I wear them down to the arena. Golf doesn't matter if they're golf joggers, and wear them in all situations. Wear the jersey with the hoodie underneath, and then the golf joggers. That's the look I'm going for. And I got to have my Bird Dogs to do that. And again, it's not just joggers. Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh, giving you that truly sculpted look. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better, and they're a lot cheaper. They fit way better than regular shorts. Those are made of the stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed this issue. They invented cloud knit fabric. It looks just like khaki, but it stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL, or on the website, you can enter the code LockedOnNHL at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL for a free water bottle at checkout. You don't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. This episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is also brought to you by Jace Medical. Check out the Jace case, a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jace Medical now offers customizability for your Jace case with dozens of add-on medications. Choose the medications that best fit you and your family's unique needs. You can also get gift cards, buy a gift card for family or your loved ones so they can get a Jace case of their own. Go to jacemedical.com, enter the code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. Back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. The Sabres fall 4-3 to the Calgary Flames. And it really probably should have been 5-3. Devon Levi struggled a lot in this game, I thought. Now, he made some big saves. It was not all bad. Don't get me wrong. He bailed them out on breakaways. They allowed 3, to my memory, or was it 2? Either way, odd man rushes, breakaways. Levi made some big saves, but he also let in a couple of really soft goals. And really, it should have been 3 soft goals, if not 4, if you want to count one of these that I'll go through, because he absolutely let in that goal from the opposing blue line. He did. I knew it when I watched it in the arena. I think you saw it if you saw it on TV, that it was probably in. Luckily for the Sabres, you couldn't see the puck. And the way the review system goes, there's really no common sense logic to it. Like, if the guy's whole pad is in the net and you know it's under the pad, they still won't call it a goal. Like, it's ridiculous. But at this point, it helped the Sabres out. So good. Levi should have allowed that one too, because he did. But there were 3 goals I thought before that you really need him to save. The first goal by Calgary was pretty horrible. Huberdeau within the first minute, and Levi just loses sight of the puck. But honestly, that's not even my big problem with the goal. He lost sight of the puck. All right, that happens to goalies all the time, especially smaller ones that have to kind of navigate their vision lanes to see where the puck's coming from. My problem isn't just that he completely lost sight of the puck. He's on top of his crease. He's on the white ice. And he's sitting there for 3 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. He doesn't see it. And he doesn't slide back into his own crease. That should be a natural instinct of, I don't know where this puck is. Let me get back in my net so I can kind of search around. But that way, if I don't find it, and the puck could maybe accidentally hit me, and I'm filling up space in the net. Instead, he remains way out in no man's land, and it's an easy tap-in goal for Jonathan Huberdeau. So my problem with Levi in that goal isn't even that he lost sight of the puck. It's he had no reaction to losing sight of the puck, and that's what left the net wide open. The second goal, I thought, was in part on Levi as well. Not entirely, because it's a bad turnover. They really allowed Calgary to buzz around when they shouldn't have, the defenseman and Tage Thompson. But the goal's a dribbler. It's a dribbler. It's not a good shot, and it falls underneath his pad. He didn't have his pad square to the ice like he should have in that position, and he allowed it to go in. So that's 2 goals that I thought he should have saved. And then he can't allow the 4th goal. You cannot allow the 4th game-winning goal. You have just tied the hockey game. It's 3-3. The crowd is back into it. They are announcing the goal on the Jumbotron. And Levi allows that goal in, the 4th goal, a shot from the outside that is low and not even that hard, and it hits his pad and deflects into the net. Horrible. You can't allow that goal to go in. And I think he just maybe lost his focus in the 3rd period between that goal and the goal that should have counted that was scored from the opposing blue line. Levi really struggled in that game. So now what it means is through 4 games where I thought he was okay in the first 2, a little up and down. I thought he was fantastic in the 3rd game against Tampa. And he was really bad against Calgary. 4 games in, Devon Levi looks like a rookie, which shouldn't be that surprising. I know that we all fell in love with him and that all the Master Jedi Levi stuff, we fall with the character, the personality, the style. It's all good. And I still think it's 4 games. I'm not overreacting, thinking he's not their number 1 goalie of the future. But this was always very likely that he would have games here and there where you went, oh man, that looks like a rookie goaltender. That's what's going to happen. And the risk of not having a stable veteran partner for a rookie goalie is this, where, it kind of feels like they should give Levi a night off. And here come the Islanders, a team you're battling for the playoff spot, and I guess I got to play Eric Comrie or Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, guys that you should have no confidence in. So that's why I always thought they needed a veteran partner for Levi. Games like that, where you shouldn't have to run them out, feel like you have to game after game, where, he's not really able to have games like that. He's probably going to have them because he's a rookie, but he can't have them because they need him to be consistent all year because they're trying to make the playoffs and he's the only hope that they've got in goal. So that's why it's kind of making me anxious about what that game is, because those are going to happen, and I don't know that they can afford to have them happen because they don't have a plan B. So that's where I'm at with Levi. Now, he's day-to-day with a lower body injury. I want to guess he doesn't play against the Islanders, but I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Levi, by the way, through 4 games, if you want to look at the advanced numbers, in fact, we could look at the save percentage first. He's had an .890 save percentage through 4 games. He's saved 105 saves on 118 shots. He's had 1 quality start by the numbers through 4 games. So obviously 25% quality start percentage. Goals saved above expected. Well, for Levi, they are goals saved below expected. He has allowed 1.2 goals below expected, which in a very limited sample so far has him ranked, of all goalies that have played at least 1 game, 46th out of 59. 46th out of 59. They need better. I think they will get better, but I do think you're going to have games like you saw last night from Devon Levi. Timeout here. What are we going to see in goal for the Sabres on Saturday, and what about the opponent, the Islanders? It's also the first black and red game of the year. That's coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Sleeper. If you feel confident about something happening in this game, go to the Sleeper app, check out some of the over-unders you could bet on. Love Sleeper. I go to it for fantasy football all the time. It's my go-to for that. But of course, if you got a fantasy hockey itch, Sleeper is the way to go as well. Play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app, and you can win up to 100 times your money. There are all types of possible scenarios for this season, but to have a chance of winning big, you need to play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. As the official daily fantasy hockey app of the Locked On NHL network, Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports, especially that daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Plenty of player props to choose from. You can bet on anybody. Jordan Greenway, Zach Benson. You go to other teams. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Kirill Kaprizov if you want. All you need to do, go and pick more or less on stats for these stars. Stats like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, plenty more. You heard me, Sabre fans. It's 100-time payouts on Sleeper. So start paying attention and get your picks right now so you get them right so you can win big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Final segment on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The Sabres and the Islanders Saturday night at KeyBank Center. We'll have to see what the hot dog of the night is. I will say that they went with the Flames, and I had theme not Calgary in the last game. Flamin' Hot Cheetos, jalapeno cheddar sauce. A couple of those on Twitter reached out to me and said it was pretty good, maybe not as good as the first two. So I'm going to put it third in our hot dog rankings. Third behind New York style, Tampa style, and then Flame style is going to be number 3. I don't know what we're going to get for Islanders. Maybe they're going to cut up the hot dog little circles, like islands, maybe go with Islanders instead of New York for the second time. I don't know. It's the first black and red game of the year. If the Sabres don't win in black and red, they're in big trouble because last year they won all their games in black and red except for like one. They score a lot of goals when they wear black and red also. I do think it's kind of funny, but maybe there really is something to it that they get a little extra juiced up when they wear that uniform. So we'll see. Help us, black and red. Goatheads, you're our only hope. So one good benefit the Sabres will get out of this game, they're going to see another backup goaltender. Semyon Varlamov is going to start on Saturday night against the Sabres as not Samsonov. Sorokin is going to start on Friday night for the Islanders, and he is an elite goaltender. So Varlamov's not bad. This is not a typical backup. Like, he is a starter on a bunch of teams in the league if he's on them, but he's not as good as Sorokin. So even though it's kind of like playing a backup, even though he's more of a starter on most teams, they are avoiding playing one of the best in the world. And that's good. So they get a little bit of a boost there. Varlamov last year, by the way, if you're wondering like how good he is, goal saved above expected, he ranked 29th out of 75 goalies. So pretty good. The Sabres lineup, I mentioned Levi's day-to-day. I think if you pin me down, there's no real indication at this point on Friday afternoon of who's going to start Saturday. But if you made me guess, if you made me predict who's going to start, I think I'd lean towards Eric Comrie. He was their second best goalie in the preseason. That he won the backup goalie job. I think the reason he's still here is because he outplayed Luukkonen. If Luukkonen outplayed him, Comrie would have got waived. So I think it's going to be Comrie, would be my hunch. Give Levi a rest. If he's got this injury, let him heal up a little bit before Monday's game against Montreal. I think it'll be Comrie Saturday, maybe Levi. Maybe you go Comrie, Luukkonen, Levi. Because you have a back-to-back coming up on Monday and Tuesday. So maybe you split those between two guys and you try to get Luukkonen in a game. Although that would mean no Levi till Tuesday. And that makes me nervous playing backup goalies 2 games in a row. So I would guess Comrie against the Islanders. And then Zach Benson is day-to-day with a lower body injury as well. That would obviously be Olofsson to go into the lineup, which I think is a huge downgrade right now, by the way. Benson is a far better player, I think, at 5-on-5. All-around game is better. Olofsson is just the shot. That's it. And he's the second worst player by expected goals for on the season, but I do believe, of course, he would be the next guy to go in if Benson cannot play. But here's to hoping that he doesn't. We'll have to keep track of the lines for Saturday night's game, because there were some interesting combinations that we saw at Friday's practice. But again, remember that there was no Benson. So we'll see how that affects it. But Thompson was centering Jordan Greenway and Dylan Cousins. Cousins playing on the wing. Middlestat was back between Alex Tuch and Jeff Skinner. Tyson Jost was between JJ Peterka and Victor Olofsson. And Krebs was back with Okposo and Girgensons. I hate Krebs with Girgensons and Okposo. He was their best player at 5-on-5 expected goals for against Calgary. Their best player. And you're putting him back on the fourth line. Let Krebs cook on a different line. Put him with Olofsson and Peterka. Put him with Tuch and Skinner. Try him in a more offensive role. Or even just in a bigger role in general, because he's going to give you better defense than some of these guys. So, but that doesn't appear to be happening at the moment. All right. That's it for us on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Enjoy the game on Saturday and hopefully get the ship steered back in the right direction before we talk to you next on Monday. Thanks for listening. This has been the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.